The election of 1840. The Whig candidate in the election of 1840 was William Henry Harrison. Harrison was one of 3 Whig candidates that unsuccessfully challenged Van Buren in the election of 1836. The Democrat candidate in 1840 was Martin Van Buren. Van Buren had served as the Secretary of State and then the Vice President under Andrew Jackson and was Jackson's hand-picked successor. In this election, Van Buren is the incumbent. The nation had suffered an economic panic during his presidency, and this will hurt his image. Old Tippecanoe. Harrison became a military hero at the Battle of Tippecanoe in 1811 and in the War of 1812. His army defeated the Indian forces at Tippecanoe Creek, led by Tecumseh and the Shawnee, who were threatening to create a Native American alliance against the United States. At the age of 68, Harrison was old by the standards of the time and was known for being a deep thinker. Van Buren's supporters believed that Harrison was too old, and one Democratic newspaper suggested that all the Democrats needed to do was, quote, give him a barrel of hard cider and settle a pension of $2,000 a year on him, and he will sit the remainder of his days in a log cabin. Log cabin and hard cider campaign. The Whigs took the suggestion by a Democratic newspaper to live out his days in a log cabin and turned it in their favor. They began to portray Harrison as a common man who was born in a log cabin and liked to drink hard cider. These 2 things were symbolic of Harrison's honest, hardworking, and independent mind. They targeted the common man, which had previously supported Andrew Jackson. Harrison supporters were offered campaign paraphernalia featuring log cabins and barrels of hard cider. Campaign songs were written, the Whigs published their own newspapers, rallies and parades were organized, broadsides were printed, and Harrison's portrait was printed on hairbrushes. Ceramic dishes were made with the image of Harrison's modest farm, and miniature log cabins were all sold or handed out to publicize this image of Harrison. Harrison's campaign utilized the stump speech, with Harrison himself speaking at some rallies, which was unheard of at the time. He became the first U.S. presidential candidate to consistently speak on his own behalf. This campaign would introduce 3 ideas to election campaigns. First, the use of symbols. In this case, they used the log cabin, which was often combined with soldiers and a jug of hard cider. Second, the creation of silk flag banners, which often added a portrait of Harrison and the phrase "Old Tip" or "Hero of Tippecanoe" to the American flag. Third, they also introduced effective slogans to politics. Tippecanoe and Tyler too referred to Harrison and his running mate, John Tyler. Tippecanoe and Tyler too. This was the first campaign slogan and one of the best-known political catchphrases in American history. Harrison managed to rely on the image set forth by the Whigs and purposely stayed away from the issues. He and his supporters would speak of helping the poor man without ever saying how. They would promise to stop inflation, but never give a strategy on how to do so. His campaign was less about ideas and more about his image.